JEM is my name, no one else is the same. JEM is my name. JEM.
So, new artist. Don't think we've seen her before. Meredith McLaren. Pretty sure I would have recognized this style. It's unique. Pretty different from what we've seen before. It's very stylized. Very exaggerated in a lot of ways. Very, I don't like it. It's not like, it's not bad. It's not like poorly drawn or anything. I just, I gotta turn the fan on. It's too hot. Sorry. I will say this though. I was reading a different comic a little while ago. I think it was the Harley Quinn or something like that, and it was interesting because throughout the book, the artist kept changing, and their styles were so remarkably different that characters would show up, and I'd have no idea who they were because they just looked like completely different people. Meredith McLaren, on the other hand, as different as her versions of our main cast look, I never had difficulty identifying who anyone was, so that's good. Well, so where we left off last, Shayna's dropping out of the band to pursue her fashion dreams with a coveted internship that she landed in Milan. And so the Holograms are going to need to audition a new drummer. Meanwhile, the Misfits are trying to get their act together now that they have a new member. And it's not going the greatest. New member, new vibe, gotta work out the kinks. So they're in the studio trying to do that. Elise, the, I don't know, CEO or upper level runny person of 5x5 Records, which signs the Misfits and Hologram manages Misfits and Holograms. They're signed to that label. She's like, they either figure this stuff out in 48 hours or we're dropping them. And it seems to be, it's like, look, they're a great band, but I don't really have the patience for this because Pizzazz is kind of an asshole. So it seems to be coming from that perspective. It's like, yeah, they're struggling. I'm not giving them a chance. They either drop Blaze and go back to the sound that worked, or they figure this stuff out in 48 hours because I'm not dealing with this stuff. Meanwhile, 5x5 is trying to sign the Stingers, and so our three major bands are coming into contact with each other now. Here's where I'm running into a problem with this series. There doesn't seem to be an overarching plan for the entire series. It seems I'm getting the feeling of a lot of course correction book to book. I talked about, I just mentioned the Misfits are having trouble getting their new sound to gel with the new member, right? Okay, that's, this is an interesting pickle, ripe for drama, right? Pizzazz was down for the count. We got a temporary lead. Turned out she was great. We want her in the band. It's taking us a while to find the new Misfits sound. Fine. But going by the previous books, they sounded great with Blaze. And then Pizzazz came back, and they sounded great with Pizzazz. And they sounded great with Pizzazz and Blaze and the rest of the Holograms. So great that they saved the world from Silica. But now they're not sounding like the Misfits, and they really need to work their sound. It's just... I mean, I like the angle, I do, but it just feels like I think it would be better if they had trouble with the new member. It took them a while to find their sound, like something they didn't think of at first. Additionally, Eric Bad Guy. When he was first introduced, he was like, "Hi, I'm Eric Bad Guy, and we must destroy the holograms." And my critique at the time was, okay, why? For what? To what end? What are you doing? Why? What are you hoping to accomplish here? What bug do you have up your butt about Gem and the Holograms? And they seem to have kind of changed their mind since, because Eric Bad Guy is just the band manager. He just manages the Misfits. He's not doesn't seem to be really interested in the holograms anymore. They seem to have changed their mind, course corrected. Not a problem, really. Just something I noticed. In the last issues, they were doing a thing where they were floating in the lake in front of that giant house that apparently Rio knows who the hell owns it, and they're like, "Jerica, why are you still in gem form? I mean, what did you do? Turn off the hologram, put on your bathing suit, and then put the bathing suit hologram on? Or did you not take the hologram off and not notice that you were changing your clothes under a hologram? What are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I didn't even notice. Okay, but whatever." Okay. In this issue, they're doing the same thing, and they seem to be going in a direction of Jerica is perhaps more comfortable in Gem's skin and doesn't want to be Jerica anymore, or something along those lines. That seems to be the direction they're heading, something along that. Except that seems to conflict with Jerica's attitude towards the whole Gem persona as recently as the end of the Dark Gem arc. So, it feels like, let's try something different. What if Gem was more comfortable, or Jerica was more comfortable as Gem? Cool. But it doesn't seem to organically spin off of what came before. So, and also in this particular case, it feels a little forced because, I mean, the swimming pool, not swimming pool, but the floating in the lake, that made sense, to call her out on that. But the girls are getting ready to go audition a new drummer, and they're like, "Jerica, why are you dressed up as Gem? What is it? Why are you always Gem? It's so weird." And it's like, we're about to leave. Like, we're heading out the door now. Of course I'm going to be Gem. We're going to an audition. Gem should be there. Did you think I should do the hologram thing in the car where anyone could see me? She actually does take it off in the car on the way back, and someone sees her. Or, like, show up as Jerica and then duck into a bathroom and come out as Gem? I don't know what you guys are complaining about here. It's weird. I don't seem to be, other than the floaty in the pool thing, that one stood out. But other than that, no one has ever been like... She doesn't seem to be Gem any more than she ever has been, and no one's ever made a big deal about it before. So again, it feels like wouldn't it be interesting if this? And yeah, I think so. I like a lot of where this could be going. It's interesting, fun drama. It just doesn't seem to be built off of what came before. So, Meredith certainly does have her own style, doesn't she? The holograms are auditioning drummers, and they're having trouble because they don't want to replace their sister. And so Gem goes for a walk, and she hears the Stingers recording in another studio, and she's like, "Ah, follow the magical voice." And so she goes in there, and she meets the Stingers, and, Riot lays it on real thick, and, or actually, she runs into Pizzazz, and they get into a screaming match, which interrupts the Stingers, and then she meets Riot, who's like, "Hi, I'm Riot, the sexiest man you will ever lay eyes upon." You know, he's doing that whole thing, and she's like, oh my gosh. So she's a bit infatuated, starstruck, perhaps. And her sisters are like, dude, what is with that? And she's like, he sings good. What? So at the end of the book, Elise, the 5x5 lady, she's trying to sign the Stingers, and she says, Riot says, we talked this over, and we will join on one condition. Drop the Misfits. Oh, golly gosh! And Pizzazz was actually hiding around the corner, and she heard that. And of course you realize, this means war. So, perhaps a more negative than positive video regarding this book, but overall, I like I like how they're setting the pieces on the chessboard. I think we've got room for some really interesting interactions going on here. I just wish it flowed a bit more naturally from what came before. So, yeah, see you in the next one.